Hey folks, it's Kellen Nitro for Nitromaniac TV's wrestling channel, and this is just a quick vlog, my take on the big wrestling news of the day on October 22nd, 2018. It's news that nobody had seen coming, and I wish it was like a mega card announcement or perhaps spitballing on, say, somebody's future going to WWE or a release, a major release or something, or somebody going to New Japan. It isn't. It's the unfortunate news that we found out on Monday Night Raw that Roman Reigns, in the opening segment of the Monday, October 22nd, 2018 Monday Night Raw television program, walked out and announced that he is embarking on a battle against leukemia and will be off of WWE TV for the foreseeable future. And of course, as a WWE fan and the bottom line, as a fan of the guy, I hope that he comes out of this 100% and is back in WWE sooner rather than later. Personal experience, I've seen him twice at two WrestleManias, one at WrestleMania 30 when he was part of the Shield, and it was a rather unremarkable match off that card. It was that squash match with the new Age Outlaws and Kane, where the Shield just walked in and decimated Monday Night Raw. They were decimating Monday Night Raw during that time as well. That was the tail end of the original run almost. But they decimated the Attitude Era All Stars team, as I like to call it, within 2 minutes or so, or whatever the runtime was. It was a very short match. Fast forward a few years, and I saw him again in the main event spot of WrestleMania 33 in Orlando. Or 32, 33. Anyway, the WrestleMania in Orlando was. They don't throw the numbers at the end of the thing now, and so you have no idea where you're at with those. Anyways, regardless of the number, I was sitting on the floor and watched his match with The Undertaker, and at the time, that match, of course, was overshadowed with the thought that that was Taker's last match in WWE, the whole gaudy ending of that match with the hat and the jacket being left in the ring and that stuff, and Taker walking away, and why didn't he leave his boots in the ring as a clear sign, and so forth, and on and on and on. The next night on Raw, just the pure vitriol from the fans and the hatred from the crowd there, the live crowd, towards Roman as well. It was the infamous "This is my yard now," after 2, 3, 4 minutes worth of booing the guy. Looking back on that after this announcement today, it's kind of, well, it's a weird thing to stomach as a fan, but love him or hate him, and there are a lot of people that hate the guy. We've talked about it in the past, and I've actually talked about it in the past on this channel too, that I won't actively go out and say flat out, I agree with the fans, and Roman Reigns is such a detriment to WWE, blah 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 blah. I like to steer away from that, because WWE's problems at the epicenter of it, that we interpret as problems as fans, in my opinion, run a lot deeper than who Vince has anointed to go to the main event position. I think that there's, maybe one day I'll elaborate on it more in another video, but getting back to what we've seen on Monday, it's heartbreaking. It really is. And Joe, Roman, Joe Anoa'i, is probably more known in my neck of the woods in Edmonton as a former Eskimos football player. He played here in 2008 for about 4 or 5 games, and then was cut at the end of the season. And that was the end of his pro football career. But as the story goes, in 2010 he got picked up by WWE. After he had retired from pro football, and the rest is history. He's made more money doing what he's doing now, obviously, than he ever could in the CFL. And that's just, bottom line of the talent. The guy is a lot like The Rock. The Rock had to try out with the Calgary Stampeders, couldn't stick, and then ended up going to WWE, and look at him now, right? And there's no sense in limiting that Roman couldn't do that going forward. But the big thing is his health, and he's got to get through this fight first. And us as WWE fans, and us as just the pro wrestling fans in general, have to get behind this guy and just, let's give him all the well wishes and everything so that he can fight this. And but the cool part about this is the decision why he's decided to make all this information public and that stuff is so he can shine more light onto this disease and that stuff. And a quick side note that I'll try and track it all back in here with my other channel on Drag Files. So we talked about a legend that passed away earlier this year by the name of Tom the Mongoose McEwen. Well, Tom McEwen had a son that passed away in the late 70s of leukemia named Jamie. And the amount of money and publicity that Tom got in his subsequent years of his racing career, and then even when he retired, for fundraising and for just PR on the disease of leukemia and cancer in general, and just all the good work and the charitable work he did off of that tragedy was absolutely, like, it was. There's no replacing that. There's no, every little bit helps, especially when you, donate to somebody who's, or a charity or someone, or a GoFundMe or whatever, of somebody who's fighting, right? So it gives them that little leg up and that pump up, right? So absolutely, I think that this is the 100% right call by Roman and his family and friends and that stuff to share this publicly and go forth and continue this fight, because we are all in his corner, and so he can shine some light onto this and what he's going through and that stuff. And it's a relapse from what I've understand, what I've interpreted there, because 11 years ago he had a similar condition that he had fought through, right? And hopefully he's back in sooner rather than later. And I'll definitely be in the big dog's corner for sure when he comes out of it. And another thing too, the people who are saying that, oh, this is a storyline and this is Vince trying to deflect off of the Saudi Arabia thing and that stuff and so forth going forward. Cut the crap. I mean, there would be no way that would fly with any creative for any television show, let alone wrestling company on the planet, going forward. And any worldwide company with the sponsors and that stuff. If sponsors found out that somebody was doing that type of just junk with their creative and everything like that, they'd pull their sponsorship right away. So there's no way, on God's green, that this would be a quote unquote work. This is as real gets here and that stuff. And if you got people like Meltzer and Keller confirming it and that stuff that had happened, it's whether your opinion of those guys is great or not or whatever. So what does it mean for WWE? Well, they started to put some wheels in motion tonight. Crown Jewel main event now is going to be Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman, Universal title. That could go either way, the way I see it. I'll have to probably digest it. Maybe next week I'll have a better gauge on who I would roll with in a prediction of that. They have Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose going one-on-one with each other now in kind of a feud. That might be for the Intercontinental title going forward towards Survivor Series. I can see that being built up for a little bit of a longer time. But they're kind of rocking the mismatched oddball tag team champions pairing coming out of tonight. I thought that it was excellent execution of the angle, And yeah, great way to catch everybody and to get everything going after the obviously the downer news to begin, and then at the end of the night to pull that off too was quite spectacular to watch. And yeah, it got people talking. So you know, it's one of the things that Vince and his creative still occasionally can knock out of the park and get it done. Is, you know, it's something that is off the wall enough that can work. But you know, if I'm sure that they talked to Roman and got his blessing on it and said, hey, if we go ahead and do this, are you cool with us doing this, right? So otherwise, I think that it would have been just a clean tag team victory and they would have went off the air or something like that, maybe with the freedom again in the ring or something. But you know, what they did tonight was interesting, and it'll pull some viewers back, I think, over the coming weeks and get them to watch. So I have no problem with the way that show went off the air at all. Anyway, those are just my thoughts, and it's been kind of a long night and kind of more of an interesting night. As you can tell, I'm totally not dressed to do a WWE vlog or anything like that. Usually I'm rocking a wrestling shirt or whatever and kind of more in a mindset, but it's just the spontaneity of the moment and the spontaneity of news. News happens, folks, and there's no control of it because news is life, and life happens, and life throws curveballs in mysterious ways and that stuff. So we support Roman going forward. He can beat this, and we are hopeful that he's back sooner rather than later. I would love to see him roll into WrestleMania next year in New Jersey for his big comeback match against Strowman or somebody like that for the Universal title. But it's going to be a matter of time, and he'll come back when he's fit to come back and when he's healthy enough to come back, and they're not going to rush him on that for sure. So big dog, get well soon. And yeah, I think after tonight, though, they've taken the ashes of what was a real lousy situation dealt to them, and I think they're making the best of it so far. I'm kind of hopeful to see where this main event scene goes now on Raw. It seems like you know, it might have some legs coming out of Crown Jewel. So anyways, I'm Kellen Nitro. Later days, happy wrestling watching. We'll see you next time on the wrestling channel. Throw your thoughts below, or you know, if you got well wishes for Roman or whatever, or if you like what I said, if you have some creative disagreements or whatever, it's all good. Just throw it all down there, and we'll discuss in the comments below. All right, take care, guys.